Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to On the Spot Motorsports Media. We've got a great show for you tonight. We got Alan Prusiensky, which drives Pro Stock, and we got all kinds of questions to ask him, and we're even going to give you, the fans, the opportunity to call in and ask him questions. But before we get the show started, we always like to mention our marketing partners. They're the ones that make everything happen. So we're going to go to a couple of commercials, and when we come back, we'll have Mr. Prusiensky joining us.
60 years of innovation, 60 years of attention to detail, 60 years of rigorous testing under race conditions is what makes ATI Performance Products great. ATI has been helping racers like you reach the finish line first. Today, we manufacture a wide range of high-performance parts that are track-tested and race-proven. We're passionate about performance, and that passion is what drives you to the finish line first. See everything ATI has to offer at ATIRacing.com.
Hey Tornado fans, this is Kurt Miracle of Miracle Automotive and Towing, proud sponsors of Tornado Football. I want to welcome you to beautiful Stark, Florida and David Hurst Stadium, and thank you for letting us be a part of this community. We're here for more than your automotive and towing needs. We're here to be part of Tornado Country. Go Big Red!
Mr. Prusiensky, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know you're getting ready for the Gator Nationals coming up here in March. And, you've been posting a lot of videos. Y'all been doing a lot of hard work. So I want to thank you in. And to kick off the show, we always like our guests to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Alan Prusiensky, driver of the ARC Motorsports Dodge Dart Pro Stock. I don't know if that's good enough, but
that's good. One of the things I wanted to ask you, what kind of drivers influenced you to go from the sportsman ranks into the professional ranks?
I don't know if drivers did. I was racing top sportsman. I like to go fast. I like Dodge, obviously. And I don't know. I just said, what the heck do I got to lose? I'm spending a lot of money racing top sportsman. I love the class, but I've been bracket racing for 30 years or close to it, and I just wanted to do something different. I just wanted to go to a few races and say I did it, more or less. So that was my thinking about it. I didn't really think I would be here 8 years later, over 100 races, but that's really what got me started. And before I knew it, I was in Pomona. I was expecting to go to Englishtown and maybe Maple Grove and a couple races. And like I said, before we went to Dallas, Vegas, and Pomona that first year. And it was like, holy crap, I'm in California racing Pro Stock. So
now you made your debut in NHRA Pro Stock in 2015 at Gainesville. What was that like, making your debut?
I can remember sitting outside the gate in them rows and I actually had a nasty cold or ear. I can remember, I'm like, holy crap, I'm going to be racing here and I'm going to be sick and I ain't going to be able to race. But I mean, I would have to be carried out in a wheelchair. I don't even want to talk like that, but so I remember laying there thinking I'm going to race Pro Stock, and there was a couple of guys on YouTube or Yellow Bull or something like that that were like, oh, Alan's probably racing his top sportsman car. And I'm like, no, I got a real Pro Stock car. What they say? And, and I wanted to post, but I'm like, I'm just going to come out here and make my time shots and let them realize what, but I was definitely on cloud nine. I actually went and tested at, I think in Georgia I went and tested. I don't remember where I went and tested. And I'd only made a few passes in a pro stock car on my own. And then I met my crew guys then at the time. I had never even gone into sixes yet with the pro stock car. I made a couple of passes, got my license, and then showed up and I met them there, and they were like, okay, yeah, we got to do this. And I said to my dad, I was like, there's something wrong with this thing. I had already had the engine out and on my dyno. So like I was already concerned because of the power that it made. When you hear all these stories of all the power that these things made, I put it on my dyno and it didn't make them numbers. So I'm like, and I went and tested it and got my license. This kind of made some easy passes to go because you only have to go 715. Show back up down there and get my, feet wet with my crew guys right before Gainesville. And he's like, he's touching a couple things. And I'm like, I said to my father, I was like, this thing's a junk, I'm negative, bam, I went 667. And I was like, holy crap. It didn't really fail that much faster, but made a couple runs there. And before you know it, it was Friday night. We torched the clutch every single pass. And there was a guy at the track, unfortunately, he's passed now, but Tim Hyatt was I think his name, and he's like, new driver, and my crew guys like, yeah, new driver. Every pass they were. I was leaving the starting line and putting it right in second gear. So finally, I figured out what I was doing wrong, and on Sunday I held it in first gear and made a pretty decent run. I mean, Jason Line went 655, I think, but I went 664. I was like, oh, it's not too bad. I mean, it's not great, but it wasn't too bad. So we improved every single run. And, like I said, I've told you before, it wasn't I didn't see into the future and see 8 years later, I'd still be here, still trying to work on it and get better every weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know the fans, they really do appreciate you being a part of the sport. And, you're one of the only really that come out there with a Dodge body. So all the Mopar guys and girls, they just love you to death because majority of the time it's just mostly Chevrolets. And we're getting some Ford bodies, Mustang bodies in there. But the Mopar people really do appreciate you.
Yeah, I always said that there's, I think Dodge really misses that there's so many fans. I can't tell you how many people reach out to me, email me, text me. They just want a winner so bad. And I kind of feel like, I'm letting them down. I'm trying my best, but, it's an uphill battle every weekend to compete against the best in the world. Like I always say, it's not very easy to get a bat and hit Roger Clemens. You probably have a better chance of closing your eyes and swinging at that ball, So it's the same thing here. You're against the 16 best people in the world. And it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, and a lot of fans, they only see, this, like you said earlier, the 6-second passes, and they don't actually see all the behind the scenes of what goes on in a daily setting. There's something always constantly having to be worked on. It's not a 6-second pass. It's actually a 24-hour day of working on that car. And, a lot of people, they look at, the engine, but there's just much more than just the engine of the car. You have the whole chassis set up. That's very important. How that is set up, how it's handled, how it's planing its tires when you take off to give you good traction every single time.
There's definitely a lot to it, but remember one thing: what's underneath the hood is 98% of it. That's just my opinion. Somebody else tell you something different, but you can have the best crew chief in the world. He can't fix no horsepower. He's going to leave you. So, so you got to have horsepower first, and then everything else has to come along with it. A great driver, great crew chief, somebody that's backing you up. As simple as backing you up on the starting line is so important. Setting the tire pressure correctly. All that stuff does matter, but as an engine builder, I'm going to say the engine building is the most important piece of the project, the process. And, we're just trying to get more consistent. That's our goal this year, is just to work on our consistency. We made some decent runs last year that were surprising to a lot of people, but just not enough of them. Just the consistency, one a weekend maybe, or one every 2 weekends. But we're going to definitely work on our consistency this year and make sure that we make good runs each pass. And I think that will really help us.
Speaking of this season that's coming up, are y'all going to try to do some preseason testing coming up pretty soon?
My goal was to drop my truck and trailer off in Bradenton in around January 1st, and it hasn't happened yet. It's just been, there's work to be done every day, for my customers' engines. So, and we're just trying to balance both sides of it. I work a lot of weekends and a lot of Sundays so that, my family suffers a little bit. I don't want to, lose customers to go race pro stock. So it's a struggle I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that there's only so much we can do. So one way or another, I definitely will not make my first pass of the year Friday night at Gainesville, or Friday during the day at Gainesville. But I just got to get a plan of when and where. But we will go someplace and at least put a few runs on the car.
Well, what's so good right now is, there's a lot of testing going on at Gainesville, a lot of teams there, and from anywhere from Pro Mod to Pro Stock Bike to Top Fuel has been out there. And I was really shocked that a couple of the Pro Stock teams haven't taken advantage of going out there and doing some preseason testing. Since that is a track that y'all have to run on the schedule, the first of the season, that's where it all begins for 2023.
Yeah, it's weird to thank God, because we would already have our trucks rolling west if we were going to go to, Pomona. So it's I'm not complaining that we're starting in Gainesville. So just the extra couple weeks, it's just like, it's frustrating sometimes because you want to get so much stuff done, and I don't know, I guess maybe because you're a little bit older, you don't get as much stuff done or something like that. I mean, I have the help of my wife, my daughter, my father, my whole family, and it seems like every year I get a little less done than I did the year before. So we, hopefully we'll be ready to go down in Gainesville, and if not, we'll regroup and we'll be ready for the next race, hopefully.
Well, I'm hoping I see you down at Gainesville. I'm really looking forward to it. What is your favorite track? You've been to several of them. I think you've raced over 100-something times in the NHRA and Pro Stock. What is your best track? What track has been really good to you?
I don't know which one's been the best to me. I like a few. I mean, I like Dallas. It's hard to put it, obviously Englishtown was our home track and we lost that track, but I actually won 2 rounds at Englishtown. So that's gone though. So I guess I won a round in Gainesville. I haven't won many rounds. I won only like 5 rounds. They've been against championship teams, but it's been far and few between. I probably had 2. I'll pick 2, Sonoma and the Zoo. Brainerd is fun for us. My wife is she likes that track, and we have a lot of fun there running through the Zoo with our our golf cart and getting muddy and stuff like that. So I'll give Sonoma and Brainerd probably my 2 favorite tracks. They haven't been good to me. I haven't won any rounds there, but maybe this year.
You take back and you look at your career so far running in Pro Stock. You have qualified for a lot of the races. I mean, you have qualified pretty well of making the field.
Yeah, I mean, we've done okay. I mean, surprisingly, there's a lot of great teams, and it's a struggle. And one thing I can do, if I have to say the best part of me or best as a driver, when I buckle up in the car on Friday and I got to make a run, I usually hit my shift points and make a good run. Sunday, I've made some of my best runs. Under pressure, I do okay. So I never let it, like get to me. So just making a perfect run sometimes will be the difference of qualifying and not qualifying. So it's not pretty sometimes, though, I got to admit. I probably can say that. But every once in a while, I'll put a surprising run on there. And it's in there. It's just getting it all out every pet. That's why when you look at Greg Anderson or Erica or the great teams, it's like, man, they're like robots. They just make perfect runs, pass after pass. And, fans might just take that for granted, but when you race pro stock, you realize the stupidest little thing will get you every single time. Like $2 part, and you don't want to make a run. They seem to never, ever have that. They probably do behind the scenes. I don't want to say like, oh, they never have bad luck, but I'm sure they think they do too. But to see somebody like Greg just make great run after great run is pretty impressive when you actually race this class and know how hard it is.
I tell you, it is a very difficult class to run. Number 1 qualifier to number 16 qualifier. I mean, it's tense. I mean, that's how close it is. And, you take the tense and look at it on the track, you're looking at inches. From probably the bumper to the tire is is the difference in a lot of those qualifying spots. Can you tell us how important it is for y'all as pro stock drivers to hit your shift points on cue? And, is that something that's difficult at the beginning, and does it get more, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Repetitious? You get that mindset that you can actually hit those set points, those shift points a whole lot better.
I don't think about it that much. If the clutch is on the motor right and the motor runs right and it makes a nice run, I tend to shift good. If you miss it on clutch and you kind of loop the clutch a little bit, that's where the shift light might come on early because you don't have enough clutch on it, and you got to have the whatever you want to call it to say, okay, it's not ready for me to shift it. I got to hold it out here a little bit. Sometimes that'll happen. So you got to think a little bit. And you don't think you can go through that in 1 second, but you can. Like when you let go of the clutch and you move out there, you're kind of like, okay, the shift light turned on right, pull a gear, but you got to think quick and say, okay, I don't have enough clutch on this thing. The shift light's not going to be coming on at the right time because you're looping the clutch a little bit. So it's when the clutch is on it and you're making a nice straight run, it's a lot easier to shift, but you got to do it. I mean, if you shift the thing at 10.3 or 10.2, you're going to run slower and you're not going to qualify, especially me. I mean, some other teams, bigger teams, if they miss a shift, I'm sure they can, they definitely can recover a little bit. But, my motor, if I don't shift it at 10.5 every single gear, then it don't run very well. So I got to make sure. And then if you hit the chip, each time you hit the chip, it's worth a little bit there. So you just got a little window there, and you got to hope that you do a good job.
Now, how many races are you planning on running this year? Have you kind of figured out your schedule yet, or are y'all still kind of looking at it?
Definitely going to do all the East Coast races. My wife loves Vegas and always does a great job of wrapping the car and doing some fan stuff. So we'll definitely end the year Dallas, Vegas, and Pomona. So they're Brainerd's back on the schedule there. So that's a definite. So we're gonna do plenty. We're gonna do plenty of races. Whether we leave Gainesville and come home or leave Gainesville and send the trailer west, that kind of just is up in the air as far as what I got at the shop and how good we run down there. So, that's probably the only part of the schedule I don't have a full answer for you right now. But we'll be at Gainesville definitely, and we'll see how we run. If we run good and feel like we don't need to be at the shop working on the engine, then we'll send the truck west. That's kind of where we're at.
Well, one thing we need fans to do right now before Gainesville comes around, we need some prayers. We don't need any rain.
Or cold weather. We just maybe every other year. Last year we had the rain, so this year it'll be nice.
I hope so. I tell you what, speaking of the rain, man, the fans were still relentless, coming out to the track even while it was raining. People getting stuck. I don't know if you knew what was all going on out in the parking lot area, but the records were having to pull the cars out one at a time to get them out back on the road. And I tell you, I got stuck. So it was pretty sloppy out there. And come back Sunday morning, the place is packed again. People didn't care if they got stuck or not. They were coming back out. They were going to, root their drivers on and watch some great racing at Gainesville.
Gainesville definitely gets a nice fan base. It's, some tracks do better than others, but Gainesville's got to be, I don't know what the count is, but Gainesville's right up there with the best that I've seen through the years.
Yeah, Frank is saying, or Marco is saying, no rain.
Yep.
Yeah, keep on praying that for everybody. I want to talk a little bit about marketing partners. And do you have any marketing partners that will be coming on board at the beginning of the season? And if not, if someone's looking to help fund a team as a marketing partner, how will they reach out to you?
Obviously, just on Facebook's the easiest way to get in touch with me, either on Prusiensky Racing or Alan Prusiensky. We got some companies that help me, and I'm grateful, So Total Seal Rings, Matt Harford has always been. I bought my first car from him, that he raced in Pro Stock, and that's how I showed up Pro Stock, and he's been always there to help me. So I got to thank him, obviously. HPL Oil this year is going to help us out. So that's real. David has been more than unbelievable to me to help me out this year, and a small team. It's so important. Really that's, I always have eCar Mover. They're help as much as they can do. They're a small company like me. It's really it. It's kind of lame for me, but I appreciate the companies that do help me, because without the little bit of help that I get, or a lot of help, I should say, I don't want to put that down, but it's definitely scary racing this class with no sponsors, no major sponsors.
Right. Now, on an average, when y'all go race at a track, how many spare bullets do y'all usually take with y'all?
I got plenty of motors. Surprisingly, I got the last really supply of Hemi engines. So that part, I've never been to a race and haven't had an engine. I could think of one maybe that I didn't have an engine, actually asked Elite and then ended up getting an engine. But in the 125 races, I've really only changed a motor maybe 2 or 3 times in that span. The motors are really durable. They tend to break more on the dyno than they do at the racetrack for some reason, but we beat the heck out of them on the dyno. And I think it's just the back to back, where the track, it's every 4 hours or every 3 hours. It just, you can get a little aggressive and make 20 pulls in an hour. It's things are pissed off and hot, and
right.
Oil's beat up. So, so we have plenty of motors. We got plenty of parts. So we're okay in that department.
I'll tell you what, I will keep my ears and eyes open for you if I see a company over in Gainesville that may be looking to sponsor a car just for the Gator Nationals. Maybe that's something that's possible, that I can find for you.
Yeah.
And, what's that?
I said we appreciate that.
Oh yeah, there's always those opportunities, and I know I've tried to help some other teams along the way. Last year, I was trying to help Lyle Barnett in the Pro Mod class, trying to find him a sponsor, and it's hard. Everybody wants their sticker on the car. every business wants it, but when you start laying out the price and the budget of how much those spots cost, they kind of get a little sticker shock, no pun intended, but it kind of really scares them off. But they just don't understand how much their company gets, being televised on Fox, all the exposure that they receive, and they have to look at it from that aspect as well.
Yeah, you can't sell yourself short, though. You can't sell a spot for a few $100s, because then everybody's going to just want it. So, we've had some sponsors through the years, and really nothing has stuck for a long period of time. Like I said, eCar Mover has been with me since probably, 2017. But again, is it enough to go racing every weekend where I can shut my business down? No. And that's really, that's where you need to get to compete at the highest level. You need to work on it every day you're up. And, at this point, I can't do that. So, but then everybody wants to blame, Dodge can't run. Well, I'm not a good ambassador for Dodge. I'm just a sportsman racer that's trying his best, you know what I mean? And that's not the way you race a professional class. That's definitely not the way, obviously.
Well, I got another question. This might be a little interesting, and we'll see if the viewers kind of respond. How hard does it make it for the teams that are by themselves, like yourself and the McGahays, when you have other teams that's got 8 cars or 6 cars on their team? Do you think eventually that the NHRA may step in and say, hey, you are only allowed 4 cars per team? Kind of something that they've done in the nitro categories years ago.
I don't think NHRA is going to say anything unless somebody bitches, or I really shouldn't say that on your show, but
no, you're right.
I would think they're probably not going to say nothing until somebody really complains about it. I mean, is it good for the sport? I don't know what, it kept us alive 5 years ago. So now you're going to complain about it now because you're not qualified. Like I told you the other night, you got to look in the mirror and make your car fast enough to qualify. Right. I've done it before. I've out-qualified, some of the bigger teams. So you just got to get more consistent and do it every weekend. That's the thing. Make a good run and you think you're there, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, you're like, where's that good run again? So, I don't think NHRA is going to say anything unless somebody really complains about it. I'm not the one that's going to complain about to find a spot to race. I mean, you got to earn your spot here. That's what's great about us, NHRA. There's no, you got to earn your spot, and beat them guys. I've done it at Indy. I've out-qualified two elite cars. So it's not like it happens every weekend, but if you make good, consistent runs and you got a good combination, you can do it. It's not, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I could do it. I don't go racing because I just want to go up and down the racetrack.
Right.
I want to improve and compete against the best. Instead of competing against the best, I want to be one of the best. So that's what keeps me going.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things I like to see on your Facebook page, you take a lot of time, you do videos, you're doing a lot of explaining of, how to hunt, how y'all are hunting horsepower, and you really do a good job of educating the fans out there, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, like I said the other night, I am a fan of Pro Stock, so and a lot of people are hungry for that information, and obviously the teams at the top aren't going to give up their secrets, so I don't really have any secrets that, the big teams are worried about me. So to give a fan, a little yes, look into what some of the teams are doing, or maybe them guys are doing, or what I'm doing. It's I get a nice response for it, and I get a kick out of it. I'm just looking to be, you know, I don't know what it is, but it's nice to see the fans interested in our class.
I tell you what, years ago, you would see a lot of people after nitro categories. They would just leave the stands, and not really watch pro stock or pro stock motorcycle. But I think over the years, the class has become so competitive and it's so interesting. More people are staying in the stands and watching all the pro categories run, and that's just a testament to the class and the hard work by you and others in the pro stock class.
Well, I mean, we don't have as much shock and awe as Top Fuel. And funny, you hear a Top Fuel car start up, it's pretty amazing, right? But the pro stock car still sounds pretty nice going down the racetrack too. So, we don't have that chest pounding that them guys have. So a novice fan isn't going to realize what we're doing or the amount of work that's behind what we do. So it's hard to understand that. So I think that's some of the problem. I don't think it has anything to do with pro stock or Top Fuel. If we sounded like them guys, I'm sure we'd keep a few more fans on it. But the educated fan who's a gearhead is obviously a pro stock fan, 9 times out of 10. So we got to build on that. We got to promote what we're doing on the engines and the stuff that I do behind the scenes. I hope we get 10 more fans or 15 more fans, and they turn into 15 more fans. So we all need to do that a little bit in our class. Everybody wants to be secretive, but really everybody that races this class knows what the other teams are doing. It's not that secretive. It comes down to manpower, talent. Obviously, horsepower is usually 90% of it, like I said before.
Well, I got a couple of photos here, and I'd like us to talk about them. There's our first one right here.
That car was built for Jegs back in 2012. It's kind of weird to drive a car that was built for, obviously, one of our best racers in the class. That was when we were sponsored by JMS last year. We appreciate their help. That's the problem. You forget about JMS is still helping us, and I forgot to mention them before. That's a great company. Does a lot of tuning for modern cars and pickup trucks and towing stuff. They do a great job. So that's when they sponsored us for 2 races and helped us out. That's actually the car that I'm racing now, and that's the car I crashed in Charlotte really bad in 2018. So,
yeah, I remember that.
That's when we got it from Haas after he fixed it. It was unbelievable, the difference between when I wheelbarrowed it in the trailer to when we got it back. So that's a big difference.
Now, to talk a little bit about what you do in your engine shop, you just don't build motors for yourself. You build motors for a lot of customers.
Yeah, we will do anything, from a street 4-cylinder Honda to a Packard engine. I always say Packards because I do enjoy working on them older engines, and not only Dodge stuff. I mean, that is something that we do a lot because I race Dodge, but there's a lot of Chevy engines. I just finished up a nice little Ford engine for a local guy. So we've been blessed. We've had enough work in the shop to invest in some new machines that I'm taking delivery of a brand new balancer this week from CWT. I bought a brand new CNC machine to do valve jobs. So we've been blessed to be able to invest back into our business. And they're the machines that I need to race pro stock. So it kind of helps us improve our pro stock operation and also help our customer base get a better product leaving our shop. So that's our goal, always to build something better, faster, and stronger.
Well, I might have to give you a call and get a price. I'm going to probably need my 5.7 liter freshened up and for my Dodge Charger.
We do them. They're a great little engine. They got some issues, but we've been doing more and more of them and educating ourselves on how to even improve all the little problems that them engines have. But they're a nice little engine. They're fun to drive. I was just driving one I built the other day. We had a computer issue after we built it. It lost its program for some reason. That's not our department. We have a guy do that for us. And I was like, this 2008 Charger is fun to drive. It spins the tires, pins you in the seat, and then it'll idle at 800 RPM and cruise at 80 mile an hour on the highway. So it's not like driving a 69 Charger like I remember when I was 17.
Well, I tell you what, I've been very reluctant with my Dodge. Don't laugh. Right now, it's still a daily driver. I drive it back and forth to work every day. It has 150,000 miles on it. I spray anywhere from a 75 to 100 shot of nitrous on it, and it runs consistent. It has never dropped any time from the time I started spraying it to now, and I probably started spraying it probably around 100,000, believe it or not. And
so it was good to go at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a good motor. You can't complain. 150,000 miles on a car that's running through the traps at 108 miles an hour. A lot of fun. But yeah, I definitely will be interested in finding out how much it would cost to freshen it up. But I do have some pictures of some customers' motors here that you might want to talk about.
Yeah, that went in a really nice 70 Charger. The color was questionable, pink, but that made almost 900 horsepower in pump gas. It's definitely fun to drive with a 6-speed AC. That's a while back. I mean, that's got to be 6 or 7 years ago. This is the motor we're finishing up just right now. It's a 426 Hemi. It's stroked. It's a 540. That's going to be a nice engine for a guy in Long Island. That's that motor earlier in its movements through the shop, I guess you would say.
Now, this one right here.
That one was giving me fits the other day, and I was like, I'm over this thing. I'm going home. Usually I stay through the battle, and I can't sleep at night if I don't know what that thing was like. I'm like, what the heck is going on with this thing? And we found out that it was actually, it had ripped the bolt out of the dyno, and I definitely should have caught it sooner. I was definitely really tired. So, and it wasn't like it just was down like 100 horsepower. And I'm like, well, either it's going to blow up or I got to figure this thing out. And then I went back the next day with a clear mind. In about 2 seconds, I fixed it. Fixed the bolt on the load cell and the dyno, and it was fine. So I just had enough. So
yeah, I seen your post the other day.
It was a long day. My daughter was there helping me. I was like, Nat, don't talk to me. I said, I can't even think straight. She's like, maybe. I said, Nat, just if I tell you to take the valve covers off, take the valve covers off or put them back on. That's it. Nothing more. Because sometimes everybody wants to help, but it actually just clouds you. You got to like block everybody out and figure out some issues, So that was the other night. It's already apart. Heads are off of it. Cams out of it. That's our, you run them. You're like, okay, that's that. This is better. That's worse. All right, let me try this. Pull this off, move that. It's a never-ending process. You just always. That's why 5 years ago we were going this fast. This year we're going that fast. It's just you never stop working. And
I bet you got a book. I bet you got a book this thick
of things not to do.
Right.
It's a lot bigger than that. Usually the pile of things that don't work is a lot bigger than the pile of things that does work. They're finicky. You change one little thing. I don't know if it's a Dodge thing because I worked on Chevy Pro Stock motors through the years, but you change one stupid thing, you would never think it makes a difference. And God, it's like, what the heck happened? So,
Jeff said he didn't like that one.
I don't know what that meant, but what didn't he like?
I don't know. But would you like to tell us a little bit about your crew and their names, to all the ones who help you out at the track.
We've been through some crew through the years, and I'm thankful for all the people that have come and gone. They kind of stick it out for a few years, and then it's a lot to be on the road every weekend away from your family. But obviously, my wife has been to every race, I think, except maybe one or two since I started. Christine has been the biggest part of this whole process, because if you're away from your family and you're leaving your wife and your family at home, it's not a good thing. I would quit right away. So obviously she shows up at every race, works hard. She's my transmission girl, does my parachutes. So you really need to be nice to her. My daughter now is 16 and she's almost 6 foot tall. So she's not a little kid no more. She started off playing around with a hula hoop in the pits when I started, and now she's taking tires off and putting tires on. So she shows up Friday night after school. We lost one of our crew guys this year who was a big part of our team. He went into the Army this 2 weekends ago, so we're waiting for him to get back. Hopefully he'll find enough time to show up at a race. His name is Anthony Wilner, so we're wishing him the best, obviously. Mark Menendez, and I'm probably saying that wrong because I'm terrible at. He's a new guy this year. He's from JMS. He's one of their head guys at JMS. I've always had nice conversations with him, talked to him. I think he's going to be a big help to our team this year. So I'm excited to go racing with him. And then we got this guy. He's unbelievable. Doyle comes from Texas. He showed up a couple years, and you were talking about the rain in Gainesville, and a story quick about Doyle and the kind of, he shows up all on his own, pays his way, comes, we feed him, but Doyle, he laying in the rain, laying in the water, working on the car in Gainesville. It was freezing, and I'm like, Doyle, what are you doing? So this is the type of people that I'm lucky to have, by our side to enjoy this, because without them, even with me, my wife, and my daughter, it would be, we couldn't do it, and my dad, he came to a lot of races. He doesn't come to as many races, but he's at the shop every day picking something up or working on it. So, even down to my mom watching the dogs when we're gone, my brother watching the dog. It's so much, it's all about family that makes it us able to do this. So, and everybody who's worked on the car with us has been like family to me. So, they're on their own different places. The two crew guys that I started with, they were with Elite this year. So they're still out here doing it. So, we've been lucky. We met some great people. Jerry Haas, the car builder, he drove my truck around for 2 years. My truck, Jerry Haas driving my truck and trailer to the races for 2 years, when we went to like maybe 50 races. So he would keep it at his shop and we just meet him at the racetrack. So many moving pieces just to, it isn't even remotely just me. It's so many moving pieces to make this, even close work, So, I'm thankful for everybody who's helped me.
Well, I tell you what, it's a sport that a lot of people loves, and if they love it, they will dedicate anything they can to help a fellow racer out. That's just the way the sport is.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that, you have surrounded yourself with really great people, and I hope that trend continues for you. And I hope that some really good, exciting things are coming in the future for you. Hopefully you can grab you a marketing partner that will help you out along the way.
Well, we're working.
Mark says he's excited.
Yeah, Mark's. I think I'm excited too for Mark. I think Mark is going to relieve some pressure that I can't tune it, drive it, work on the engine, all them parts. I need some help. So, and I've had that help through the years, but unfortunately, that help is expensive every weekend. The amount of money you have to pay to a good crew chief. So we can't afford that. So, for Mark to be able to come on with us this year and hopefully relieve me of some of them duties. And it's always nice, my one buddy, Rob Tucker, who's racing this year with his son, he's come with me on races too, also, as a crew member or a friend. And we always seem to run a little bit faster when he was there, just because you could just bounce some things off back and forth. So you need great help. So the big teams, it's not all about power. It's the minds that they have and the passes that they have underneath their belt and their notebook is really important also. So passion, dedication, obviously, and all them things. It's not just one thing, but as an engine builder, I'm always focused on one thing and the engine, and it is other things also. So you got to keep everything in mind.
Well, I tell you what, I do appreciate your time coming on tonight with us, and this podcast is going to be shared to a lot of other NHRA groups for people to see, and I am hoping for good things for you this year, and really looking forward to seeing you out at Gainesville.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I thank you for having me on. It's always, you never know who's watching or who's listening, right? So,
right.
Anything can help.
And, everyone has a story to tell. No matter if they're a champion or they're not a champion, and so that's what we try to do. We try to make it fair across the board and let everyone share a story with us on our podcast.
Okay. I appreciate that. Appreciate your time.
No problem.
All right.
That's Mr. Alan Prusiensky, pro stock driver. And I tell you what, I'm hoping really great things for him in the future. He's been tackling this sport for quite a while, since 2015, where he made his debut at Gainesville. And I tell you, we just need to keep on praying that we're not going to have any rain at Gainesville like we did last year. But I actually had a chance yesterday and today to go out to Gainesville Raceway with a lot of pre-testings being done. You had Leah Pritchett out there, Antron Brown, Manny Bajinga, and the Pro Mod. A lot of pro stock motorcycle teams were out there testing. You had Vincent Hines, you had Matt Smith Racing, Steve Johnson was out there. Just trying to think of all the Ricky Glasson was out there. So a lot of teams were getting some runs down. And I tell you what, the bikes are looking really good. I don't want to get into numbers that were being flashed up on the board. I don't do that with it being a closed practice. But they look really, really well going down the track. So we're going to share some of those stories later on our page and some of the photos, more likely Friday afternoon or Saturday. We'll start breaking those pictures out and doing a write-up on pre-testing at Gainesville. So again, I want to thank everyone for coming on and watching us tonight. If you're not a follower, please follow our page. We also do live streaming of the bracket races out at Gainesville Raceway. That's something that we have been doing for over a year, and we're excited that Jody Kennedy, the track manager, is allowing us to do that, because a lot of people has family that can't make it to the track. They live states away, and so we want to bring that that action into their living room for them. But without further ado, thank you again for all of y'all joining us, and looking forward to seeing y'all again.